What's a super genius way to hide something in your house? Treat it as being super extra important, so you hide it in a super extra important place in the house. Then tell yourself you'll always remember where it is because it's in that super extra important place. In my experience, you'll never find it again. I can't tell you how much shit I've lost due to this exact logic. My great-grandparents apparently hid a fortune's worth of ivory somewhere in their house, forgot where it was, offered to let any of their grandkids keep it if they could find it, and then died years later having never found the ivory. Some random people live in that house now and potentially have quite the surprise waiting for them. I lost $200 somewhere in my house. I do have my secret spots for cash, but that day I was in a hurry, so I decided this will do nicely until I can get back and store it properly. That was months ago. I've done a thorough search and nothing. I'm now thinking someone must have broken in and just took those $200 and left. False bottom to your cat's litter box. Nobody's gonna dig through cat shit to look for your stuff. Former probation officer here. I had someone on supervision that had a complaint called in, so had to go check it out. Never could find anything. Then I noticed a litter box. He didn't list any pets on his paperwork. I asked where the cat was. He said the cat is always hiding. I gave him that. My girlfriend had a cat that would disappear whenever someone came over. But I was with a different officer that day, and he said he is highly allergic to cats and felt nothing. 3 pounds of weed was vacuum sealed and under the cat litter. There was no cat. Also some benzos. In the summer? Winter jacket pockets. My favorite day is when it's cold enough to put on your winter jacket for the first time and you find some bounty. Usually change, a Ricola, or a ticket stub. Bring in 10,000 more identical ones. If it's drugs, this might be a problem. I used to think I could hide my weed from my mom in the towel in the bass drum of my drum set. One day I reached in and found a note instead. It said, "Not as smart as you think you are. So not that way." If she's not a drummer, she wouldn't understand the towel and would assume it was nonsense you made up to hide stuff. If she was a drummer, she'd definitely had that thought before about it being a good hiding place because it seems so innocuous. I would have thought that was a genius way to hide stuff, but the older I get the more I understand how my own mom's brain works. Next time, put a mouse trap in the towel. My mother and grandmother both have cold cash storage. It's a Tupperware in the freezers with cash in it. Edit, thank you very much for wanting to reply, but the frozen assets and cold hard cash jokes has been made quite few times already. Please stop. I'm starting to regret making this comment. I heard a story once about somebody who went to help an old lady move her chest freezer. They grabbed it but it wouldn't lift up. Asked her if she'd emptied it and said yes, she'd taken all the food out. They opened it up to check, and it turned out she just didn't know what to do with the foot or so of silver bars that her late husband had been putting under the food for years. That's a really common place for cash because people think it's so random. But that just means it has become a high-priority search place for thieves. Friend of mine, ex-criminal, had that problem when police raided his house. The gun he owned was not legal, so he threw it in a pot full of beans, while they were on a stew, cooking. He saved his ass. Sorry for bad English though. Did he still eat the stew? As a kid, I saw that whomever had put the floor trim in my room didn't do a great job measuring. There was a section in one corner of the room, under my bed, that was about 18 inches long and held in with a single nail. I found that I could simply pull it out, and the whole thing would swing out like a door. So I took a knife and cut out the drywall. Just enough that if the trim was replaced, you'd never see the hole. I kept everything in there from porn to cash to weed. As a paranoid child with fairly conservative parents, I thought of all sorts of creative places to hide things. I should be a law enforcement consultant. I can find any hiding place. Hi Charlie, it's Dad. Didn't do a good job measuring. More than likely wanted to use up that last 8.5 piece of trim and tack on some scrap and be done with it. I have a Barbosol shaving can that unscrews from the bottom, similar to where Newman kept the dino DNA in Jurassic Park. Hey, Dodgson. Hey everyone, Dodgson here. See, no one cares. Next question, what are the super genius passwords to your bank accounts? PASSWORD. If you want to be really tricky, add a 1 to the end. No one will ever guess it. If it's light and small. I split some of the seams on the side bottom of blackout drapes and stitched in a pocket in Velcro. It's pretty much invisible, and I doubt people robbing the house want to disturb the drapes. I use it to stash cash. For larger stuff. I have a wood fireplace, so we have decorative wood sitting next to it. I split a log, hollowed it out a bit with a drill, use it to hide a bunch of spare keys, safe keys, etc. I made these things while I was recovering from an injury and super bored. On the positive side, I think nobody will look in my places. On a negative side, if there's ever a fire, the neighbors will think I'm insane when I save a blackout drape in a log. Unscrew the base of a lamp, like the entire base, and put what you want to hide inside the base, then screw the base back on. When was the last time you or anyone you know has completely disassembled a lamp? My ex hid wads of $100s in the mouth of a VCR. That's where my kid used to hide spoonfuls of yogurt. I had an encyclopedia set that no one else ever messed with. I used to hide money in the M book on the money page. Kind of obvious, I know, but no one ever found it. Fake electrical outlet. Looks like a regular outlet but has no wiring. You can keep a small wad of cash or anything in similar size. Until someone goes to use the outlet. Or a ricin tablet. You know. I have an electrical socket in my house that doesn't work, just one. I'm going to check it tonight, maybe I have a secret gift from the previous owners. Edit, no cash, it's just fugged. Thanks for the heads up on the circuit breaker, everyone. Didn't die. Better yet, put an RJ11 phone jack cover on it. Nobody uses that shit anymore. My house was robbed once. They cut the silk liner out of a really nice fedora from Havana, kicked holes in the back of all the closets and certain walls, disassembled electronics, pulled all the books off the bookshelf, moved around all the appliances, cut holes in couch cushions and mattresses, etc. However, they found no valuables because it's my second home, and I don't leave any cash or jewelry laying around. A lot of these ideas may be good for hiding things from people that live with you, but if you're looking to hide something from a would-be thief, get a safety deposit box. Fedora. Burglar. So you're saying buy a decoy house? Brilliant. What you suffered is quite rare, though most burglaries are get in, grab what you can get out. Kicked holes in the back of all the closets and certain walls, disassembled electronics, pulled all the books off the bookshelf, moved around all the appliances, cut holes in couch cushions and mattresses, etc. Man, they must have really thought you were loaded. Because it's my second home. Ah. Well. My boyfriend is tall. Anything I don't want him to see goes at the back of the lowest shelf. And whatever he doesn't want you to see is at the back of the highest shelf. Happy hunting. Used to hide my weed in an empty VHS box near enough in plain sight, just needed to pick one that I could guarantee my parents would never open. In this case it was an old copy of Every Goal of World Cup Italia 90, as everyone hated footy in my house. Edit, watching it now just for nostalgia. Inside a hollowed out door. No one's going to smash a door to pieces on the off chance something is inside it. No one's going to throw away or sell, replace a door while you're at work. And it's very unlikely that someone will cause enough damage to an interior door to wreck it. The top half more so, though, if you have large dogs who like to chew their way through things. Alternatively, in the hollowed out walls of a heavy safe you keep in the garage, with the safe door open, or at least not locked. Only slightly more likely to be sold to a scrap dealer or local safe enthusiast while you're at work. Amusing variation, in a hollowed-out safe vault door you have mounted into a wall somewhere, with the combination stamped into a metal tag tied to the handle. If there's any actual space behind the door, fill it with cheap pawn shop trophies. Because, after all, who takes the time and effort to steal or slice up a safe they can see as empty? If you're trying to hide something from me, you just need to put it in the fridge or the cupboard, front and center. Me, hey, I can't find the applesauce. Them, it's in the cupboard with all the other sauces. Me, no it's not. Them, no, it's definitely in there, I put it there an hour ago. Me, I'm telling you, I just looked and it's not there. Them, fine. I'll show you. Gets up, goes to cupboard, opens it, points to applesauce in plain sight. Me. Yeah, that wasn't there before. Well, hello my husband. Inside of trophies. Mine are all hollow. That would require being good at something, haha. World's greatest grandma. Inside your world's greatest grandma trophy. Become a hoarder. Fill your house with every piece of random junk you come across. Anything you own will become hidden. In the pockets of hanging clothes in the closet. This is why interesting finds are discovered on the racks of thrift shops every now and then. Especially suit coats and or dresses that only get worn for something like a wedding. Niece try FBI. Not today, CIA. Our family has always kept loads of cash and other valuable in the base of the tall grandfather clock. It's a natural hiding place because the clock's front door requires a hidden key to open it. It's dark down inside grandfather's bottom Better still, the substantial pendulum swinging above with the 3 heavy hanging weights for the action and chime rods totally obscure what's stashed deep down inside the clock case. It's dark down inside grandfather's bottom. You don't say. Put it wherever you keep losing your keys. If you lose your keys, often put them in the fridge with your lunch. Can't leave without keys, and if you forget lunch now, you got keys and a lunch. Down the side of my sofa. Why did I not think of that before? Edit, found someone has already been storing coins there, need somewhere else pls. I heard an urban legend of a divorcee hiding prawns in curtain railings in summer. The smell was so bad the ex-husband practically gave her the Housers, no one would buy it. She threw out the curtains and the smell disappeared. 2 words, tampon box. Yes, that's also a great way to smuggle shots to a venue. The second they peek into a bag and see feminine hygiene products, it's an immediate keep going. You can dissolve your friend's Nobel Prize medals in aqua regia. Edit, after a few oddly specific responses, I'm guessing most people aren't getting the reference. The question was for what's a super genius way to hide something. George de Hevesy, a Nobel Prize winner in chemistry, so I would classify as a super genius, needed a way to hide 2 of his friends' Nobel Prizes while they fled the Nazis. He came up with the idea of dissolving them in an acid, aqua regia, and left the solution on a shelf in his lab. He came back years later to find them undisturbed. The gold was precipitated out of the solution and the Nobel Society recast the original gold into metals. You can dissolve your friend's Nobel Prize medals in aqua regia. Aqua regia. Read this as what's a super genius way to hide in your house, and was convinced Op was wanting to work on their hide and seek game. Coming, ready or not. Title of my sex tape. I hid my stuff in my guitar amp's back cavity. Same can apply for any speaker box. Cops search amp cavities if you're transporting and get pulled over. FYI, allegedly. Inside a Holmes & Watson DVD case. It will never be opened, definitely not worth stealing, only risk is someone possibly decides to incinerate it. Surely a thief would be suspicious that someone actually owns a copy of Holmes & Watson and check it immediately. Inside electronics. A lot of electronics has spare room inside. False wall in closet, either the back of the closet, top of the closet, or a wall that doesn't have a door next to it, harder to see the missing space. Drawers, false bottom, underneath a drawer, or taped behind a drawer. On top of cabinets, especially with a false top to cover whatever you're hiding. Behind the backing of a picture. Best with those cheap photo frames that are easy to disassemble. False middle to a bottle of soda. Toilet tank. Taped up under sink near the front board. Make your own false book, works best with large bookcase. Inside a large chair or couch that's not properly sealed up underneath. Behind washing machine. Under dishwasher. None of these will stop a dedicated person from finding them. A few of the appliance-based ones can be discovered if someone else does a repair on them. A few require some effort to make false cavities. But between the variety it will be hard to figure out where. This guy hides shit. Drawers, false bottom, underneath a drawer, or taped behind a drawer. My brother went full tilt on this. He made a false cover for underneath a drawer. All contraband went in the gap. That was created and he wanted hidden from parents. Was very impressed when he showed me. However, it was a bit too much effort emo. I just hid stuff in plain sight. As an example, I put the booze I was hiding at the back of our liquor shelf. Shelf is up high and you can see the back looking at it as in it's at 6 feet. Parents always took from the front, and forgot what they had at the back constantly. So I just hid it up there where they would never look. I tried hiding my cigarettes once inside some big cables box. I got tased from the electricity and it felt like the electricity passed through all of my body. I don't know if I did it consciously or unconsciously, but my legs started shaking. Needless to say, I never hid them there anymore. My girlfriend's dad works with repairing home appliances. The other week he found 300 grams of hashish hidden in a washer. Someone forgot to remove it before he called the repair guys, lol. There's 2 variables at play when deciding to hide something in your home. Accessibility, and security. If it's super secure, it's hard to get to, and if it's super accessible, it's probably not secure. You can obviously hide something in a covered hole in the wall and nobody will know it's there, but getting to it is a bitch. A few I can think of that are pretty good. Furniture legs can be bored from the ends, upwards, creating a small cavity. You can hollow out things that you don't see. Underneath your mattress, if you have a bed with wooden slats, you can hide things between the mattress and the slats. Your sofa cushions, most sofas and beds are actually hollow wooden frames with only cushions on top. You can cut into them through a small plastic sheet on the bottom. There's a lot of space in there. Skirting boards and door frames can be slot back into place, concealing small cavities. A lot of interior doors are hollow and almost nobody is tall enough to see the top. The U-bend if you can secure it properly, or the water tank of the toilet itself. Underneath your garbage bag. Broken electronics. Got a stereo and you now have storage in plain sight. You can even store in working electronics. You'll be surprised how much empty space is in them. Fake outlets are great one that I've seen recently. I've even seen working outlets that have storage built in. This has to be one of the best IMHO. Behind picture frames is good, but this one is quite popular. In food. You can hide a lot in a bag of rice, pasta or flour. Empty coffee pots, Pringles or whatever. As kids, me and my siblings used to pull up the carpet from the corner of the room and lift up the floorboards. You can hide a crap ton there too. This will be obvious to a trained eye though, unless you can do it without creasing the carpet. The best way is with a floor safe. When people look for something, it's always at eye level and rarely do they crawl about searching. The location has to be discreet: living room under the couch, near the doorway, or right underneath a cabinet near the corner where people rarely goes to. It also helps in safety as it's the one place a fire would never reach. 2 things on that. Make sure it's anchored well into concrete. Get an actual fire-resistant safe. The heat will spread even where the fire doesn't, and you have to make sure the material will withstand it. I guess a bonus number 3. When I was around 15, just started smoking weed, I got a piece of plaster board and painted it black, matching texture and color of the surrounding shelving, and made a false back. I was able to hide my chuff for years and my parents didn't realize I'd made it till we moved out 4 years later. Chuff. That's a new one. Wrap it in a black plastic bag and put it in the fridge. Nobody ever opens that shit. That's the very first place the cops are going to look, anything cold. I once hid my tortoise's terrarium from my landlord by wrapping like a really large present. He gave it a weird look but didn't ask about it. There's all sorts of hiding modifications you can upgrade into your house, but a few ideas with existing spots and a fair amount of tape. If you're just hiding cash, then an envelope between the picture and the backing in a picture frame is a good one. Another cash idea is to tape an envelope underneath the back cover of a book between the pages. Will leave a more visible indent and put it on a bookshelf. For small objects, packages, you can unscrew the vent cover on an air vent and place it inside. Just make sure you have a way to get it back out if it's a vertical shaft. Perhaps tape a string to the inside of the vent attached to the object. The inside of some couches will swallow a remote or a phone easily enough if it drops between the cushions. That same interior can hide objects. Just flip the couch and tape them into place on the frame. If you have old appliances that don't work, you can rip out the guts and hide things inside the casing. Just make sure no one throws it out. Another cache spot would be behind a drawer in a set of dressers. Pull the drawer all the way out, tape an envelope on the back of the cavity, and replace the drawer. Even if someone pulls out the drawers to toss the contents for valuables, they should miss it unless they lower their head level to see it. In truth, any container will do if there's enough of them and they're nondescript enough for a burglar to not go through. Who's gonna know that the paint can on the bottom of a pile of 6 full ones in the basement is empty and has some family jewelry stashed in it? Or that one of the boxes of pasta in the back of the pantry has been emptied out and had some money hidden inside? Most burglaries are smash and grabs, and they're there just to grab what valuables they can carry and get out. They won't have the time or inclination to flip through every book and container. This guy assumes my money fits in a thin envelope. If it's flat money, in books. You can repurpose empty food and cleaner containers to hide bigger objects. Only flat things? Whatever happened to cutting out the inside of a book in the shape of a rock hammer? I've always been a fan of drilling a vertical hole in the top of door with a spade bit and dropping a film canister in. Hardest part is finding a film canister. Edit. It gives me hope that so many people are concerned enough about the availability of film canisters that they're offering to send them to me, and showing me where I can get them. You're wonderful people. That being said, my comment was completely facetious. Wow, this is probably the most ingenious suggestion on this thread. Great idea. When I was a teenager, I got my hands on a Playboy magazine. This was just before we had internet at home, which changed the game of course. My mom knew I had it, but I was just old enough where she decided to tolerate a few boobs. Still, in the conversation we had about it, she bet that if I was trying to hide a magazine from her, she would be able to find it. I accepted her challenge and told her to give me a little while to come up with hiding place. I had a chair with a cushion made of foam with a fabric cover, like a typical couch cushion. I removed the fabric cover and cut a slit into the foam, inserting the magazine in the middle of the cushion. I then turned the cushion around so that the slit was on the inside and couldn't be seen if you unzipped it. I put the foam back in the cushion and put it back in the chair. Couldn't feel anything sitting on it. My mom searched for a good while and could not find it. I think even if someone tore your house up completely, they likely wouldn't take the foam out of the couch cushions and carefully inspect it from all sides. Thieves don't care about your shit. If they think you have something they want, e.g. they think you keep large amounts of cash, drugs etc. in your house, they'll just slash your cushions, lounges etc. looking for it. The second page of Google. Or the first page, but as an advertised result. I just hid something inside a jar, put a toilet paper tube in the middle, then fill the sides with dog food biscuits. The odd part was, he was hiding dog food biscuits. I have a triple monitor mount with a main pipe everything attaches to. Well, pop the cap off that pipe. I 3D printed a long tubular container with several compartments and boom. Hidey spot that no one would ever check. Unless they search your computer too. There's a CAD file on here called Fleshlight Hider 2.0.